Hello, friends. May I please request you all to take your seats? We'll be beginning shortly. Good afternoon, friends. May I please request you to switch off or put on silent your mobile phone so that we can enjoy our special event today. Thank you. Good afternoon, friends, excellencies, distinguished panelists, yoga masters, colleagues from various missions, and UN Secretariat, friends, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Permanent Mission of India, I welcome you all today to the conversation on Yoga for Peace on the occasion of the 4th International Day of Yoga. Friends, the General Assembly in 2014 had unanimously declared June 21st as the International Day of Yoga in recognition of yoga's universal appeal and its ability to contribute towards a healthy, peaceful, and sustainable society. The theme of this year's celebration is Yoga for Peace. The Permanent Mission of India has partnered with the United Nations Department of Public Information and members of civil society to organize multiple events at the United Nations on the occasion of the International Day of Yoga. Many of you would have been present at the wonderful event yesterday, the yoga session with yoga masters held last evening at the North Lawns of the United Nations. Some of you would have also seen the exhibition of yoga, which is currently at display at the Curve Wall. Those who haven't seen, we invite you to please visit that exhibition. The discussion on Yoga for Peace is part of the ongoing celebration of Yoga Day, with a focus on understanding how yoga contributes towards achieving peace and harmony. The panelists in today's conversation come from very diverse backgrounds. We have in our midst Dr. H.R. Nagendra, a renowned yoga therapist from India. He's indeed a war veteran, a former member of a gang, turned peace activist, a yoga master who has taken yoga to people who are deaf or hard of hearing, a yoga master from Shivananda tradition and an expert on virtual reality, indeed. We will also hear from experiences from a young boy, Osman, on how yoga has helped him. So without much ado, I would request our Deputy Ambassador, Permanent Representative of India, Ambassador Tanmay Lal, to make his opening remarks.
Thank you, Inam. Eminent Yoga Master from India, Dr. H.R. Nagendra, distinguished panelists, excellencies, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. May I also extend a very warm welcome to all of you to this special session of conversation on Yoga for Peace. This is the 4th year that the International Day of Yoga is being celebrated, following a unanimous decision by the UN General Assembly in December 2014. While yoga evolved as a philosophical system over thousands of years, the practice of yoga has not only retained its appeal through the ages, but has now spread far and wide, simply because its practitioners experience positive changes in their lives. Yoga is not a mere belief or a faith system. Yoga is an ancient scientific practice that allows individuals to personally experience a new domain. Masters and practitioners alike tell us that yoga can help us experience the interconnectedness of all creation. Modern science is beginning to discover many of these connections only now. By reminding us of this fundamental unity of existence, yoga helps us tune our inner selves with our surroundings, comprising all our nature and fellow human beings. This, therefore, not only contributes to physical and mental well-being of the practitioners, but also to the well-being of the community. The enthusiasm generated by the Yoga Day initiative across societies points to a common inner longing among ordinary people to overcome increasing daily stress and achieve a greater life balance. It also reflects our collective desire for a better and more harmonious future, one that is peaceful and prosperous for all, and one that can be sustained over a longer term. Today's event is part of a series of events being organized at the UN this week to mark the International Day of Yoga. My colleague has just mentioned about the unique and the wonderful event that took place yesterday in the North Lawn here at the United Nations. Many of you were present there. And also the exhibition on various aspects of yoga that is currently on display here at the UN. Some of you may recall that the theme of the 2016 event was Yoga for SDGs, in recognition of yoga's contribution, especially towards attaining sustainable lifestyles. Last year's theme was Yoga for Health, echoing its benefits for physical and mental health. The theme for today's conversation is Yoga for Peace, a theme that highlights yoga's comprehensive scope and finds resonance across regions. We are fortunate to have among us today several inspirational personalities. They include distinguished and accomplished yoga masters, and they also include practitioners who have personally experienced the benefits of yoga in overcoming great odds and achieving harmony and peace. We look forward to today's conversation among these very distinguished panelists and hope to learn from their wisdom and experience. I thank you all for joining us here today, this afternoon, on the International Day of Yoga at the United Nations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Lal. I now call upon stage Mr. Mitchell Rabin, the moderator for today's conversation on Yoga for Peace. As he takes his seat, let us see a small introductory video about Mr. Mitchell Rabin.
Hello, my name is Mitchell Rabin, and I am the host and producer of A Better World Radio and TV here in New York City. I have been interviewing the sung and the unsung heroes of society since 1993, every week on community television here in downtown New York. And I have been interviewing as well many spiritual teachers from different parts of the world who have been broadcasting through our airwaves the messages of a spiritual life, the values of peace, of honor, dignity, and integrity, and living a life, a spiritual life, and in the middle of the modern world. I have been on panels and I have been moderating panels for many, many years in the United States as well as abroad, helping to bring forward the ideas and the values of the subjects and themes at hand. It is truly my pleasure and my honor to be doing so for the United Nations for the International Day of Yoga here in New York City. Hello, hello. Ah, that is better. Okay. Very good. Hi, welcome everyone. If we are brilliantly successful today in this panel discussion, we will have created a quantum field that will reach everyone in the world, all sentient beings, in fact, including the top tiers of political leadership, so they can be permeated with the energy of this room and the peace that we all know of through doing yoga. Are we on the same page? A couple of introductory words. First, I just want to thank you all truly for being here, and I want to just welcome you all to the 4th International Day of Yoga here at the United Nations. It's with great pleasure and to welcome you all here, and it's a great honor to be here as your moderator. As we all know, yoga has many limbs and many styles. It is one of India's great gifts to humanity. It is utterly beautiful to see how it has been embraced by cultures around the world and how it has flourished as well. I think it is incumbent upon us to ask why. Why has yoga been so interesting to people from all different parts of the world, from entirely different cultures? What is it about the practice of yoga that is so special, that it has changed people's lives so profoundly, from their health to their sense of inner peace, well-being, and overall countenance in the world? Today we're going to explore this particularly in the realm of yoga as a true agent and vehicle for peace, both inner and outer. And for this to occur, it is simultaneously an agent and vehicle for transformation, which will be another part of today's conversation. Literally transforming the lives physically, emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually of those who practice it over time. So with the panelists, we're going to discuss yoga also as a science, every bit as much as it is an art. With the emphasis on scientific method these days, which is a lauded development, by the way, for humanity, it becomes particularly interesting that scientific method was actually very well developed in ancient India in a way that is not just wholly applicable today, but may well be what leads us out of a world of strife, struggle, suffering, and conflict into a new era of peace. I don't know, but I'm considering putting a wager on that. Before opening up to the panel and our esteemed panelists here, I just want to say that the panel is convened at the United Nations for world leaders, who I hope are here and listening, or they will see the video, and participants to come together and actually for us, through our dialogue, to shape a future and design a healthy, just, and sustainable one for us all. And I feel that it's very much incumbent upon us to believe that the practice of yoga, as we know here in our bones, can actually have this effect. We've seen it before, and what we're looking for now is to make it more widespread. Just a quick word about myself, which is to say that I started studying yoga back in 1968. I was a bit of a toddler then. I was quite young. And interestingly, I started studying it in a little town in Connecticut, in a place that was given to the town by the local Catholic Church. It was a convent. So back then, I should have realized the ecumenical nature of yoga. Here I was, a 14-year-old boy, studying yoga in a convent. And since then, I've been enamored of it. I've had the great honor and pleasure of working with Srinivasan, who is one of our panelists today, at Shivananda Yoga Ranch upstate, and being a student there for, well, a couple of decades at this point. And that's where I've had a lot of my exposure to Vedic wisdom as well as the practices themselves. So again, I want to just welcome you all. And now, after having done a little bit of an introduction, I want to invite the videographer to show the video of our first speaking panelist. I'll pose a question, and he will answer. Dr. Nagendra. And you can clap, too, if you want. This is best as participatory, by the way. And I will also say there will be questions you can ask later on.
Dr. H.R. Nagendra, the scientist yogi, is the founder and chancellor of Swami Vivekananda Yoga Anusandhan Sansthan, known as S. Vyasa Yoga University, Bangalore. He has been the guiding force behind the Vyasa movement in India and abroad. On the New Year's Day of 1943, arose a new bright sun in the horizon of Bangalore to shed a new light of ancient yoga with the modern scientific explanation. On 1st January 1943, Honga Sandra Rama Rao Nagendra was born. After graduation, Dr. Nagendra did his master's in mechanical engineering in 1965, and within 3 years, he did PhD in 1968 from the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, where he served as faculty in the Department of Mechanical Engineering after his doctorate. In 1970, he went to Canada as postdoctoral research fellow in the University of British Columbia. Next year, in 1971, he joined NASA Marshall Space Flight Center, USA, as postdoctoral research associate. In 1972, he moved to the Engineering Science Laboratory, Harvard University, USA, as a consultant. Later, he served as visiting staff at the Imperial College of Science and Technology, London. Shri Eknath Ranade, founder of Vivekanand Kendra, Kanyakumari, had a great influence on Dr. Nagendra. In response to his call, Dr. Nagendra left a very promising and highly lucrative career abroad and came back to India to serve his motherland, especially in the field of yoga research. In 1975, he joined Vivekanand Kendra, a service mission, as a full-time worker. He was the director of training center at Vivekanandpuram in Kanyakumari. Between 1993 and 2000, he was All India Vice President of Vivekanand Kendra, Kanyakumari. Since 1986, he has been the secretary of Vivekanand Kendra Yoga Research Foundation, Bangalore, and the director of Indian Yoga Institute, Prashanti Kutiram, Bangalore. In 1991, Vyasa was affiliated by Bangalore University, Mysore University, Mangalore University, Rajiv Gandhi University, and later by Hindu University of USA to promote PhD in yoga. Under the dynamic and noble leadership of Dr. Nagendra, fondly called Guruji, S. Vyasa at Prashanti Kutiram, Bangalore, is translating the vision of Swami Vivekananda to combine the best of East with the best of West by combining modern scientific research to examine the efficacy of yoga to face the challenges of modern era. The journey of Dr. H.R. Nagendra from NASA to Vyasa is deeply rooted in the ancient Indian thought. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukha bhag bhavet.
It's like an entire Bible. Amazing. So we have testimony that yoga works. Dr. Nagendra,
Thank you.
so glad to have you here.
So nice of you, Mitchell, for coordinating this wonderful thing.
Yes.
My dear brothers and sisters, I bring greetings of peace, harmony and love from Swami Vivekananda Yoga Anusandhan Samsthan Yoga University in Bangalore, the IT city of India. And the whole essence, as was mentioned by Mitchell, is to bring peace inside to spread peace outside. If our mind is in a turmoil, full of turbulence, then how can we expect this to bring peace on earth outside? So yoga says that you must first train yourselves to bring peace inside. Yoga is defined, Manaprashamana upayaha yogaha, it is said. That is to calm down the mind, tranquil the mind, silence the mind, is the essence of yoga. Whether we do asanas or pranayam or meditation or mudras, bandhas, kriyas and various techniques of yoga, this is the goal, that you should be able to go into deep silence and go to the source from where all thoughts arise. And that state is the state of silence, which is known as Manaprashamana, a calming down of the mind. And why peace inside? That peace is bliss. It is known as the Anandamaya Kosha. And in the process of realizing the truth, our ancient masters went through the grossest of the Annamaya Kosha to Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnana, Anandamaya Kosha. And in the Anandamaya Kosha, when they stayed, Saparame Vyoman Pratisthita, as it said, the person who unraveled this mystery of Ananda, he stayed in the deep silence, all-pervasive blissful silence. That silence is the state of blissful awareness. And that is what all yoga is meant for. With that at the basis, if people start using yoga, then it's going to get into the state of inner peace, which will automatically spread the peace outside. Therefore, Swami Vivekananda said that we should continuously work on this proposal to stay in that silence more and more and do all activities. Even when we are doing the activity, any activity we are doing, can we maintain that inner equipoise, inner silence, inner blissful awareness, and do the activities. That is yogastaha kuru karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjaya. As Krishna says, if you do that, then it is the essence of karma yoga, converting every action into a yoga, that we have to do that. And using this, today we can spread this dimension to everywhere. When you bring that silence, you remove the imbalances that take place. Normally the imbalance takes place because of the excessive speed of the mind, one side, and uncontrolled speed of the mind, and other side the calmness has been neglected. Therefore that big imbalance is the root cause for all this aspect of NCDs and then diseases, problems, challenges, and single-parent problems and others. Therefore, yoga goes into the very root cause for all these challenges that we face today in the era of science and technology. And if we have a solution in the causal state, everything will vanish. Therefore, this is a solution that's to begin. But today, we are in the era of science and technology, and it has to be brought by evidence base. And therefore, modern scientific research has to be adopted to establish this dimension. When you calm down the mind, is it that we are becoming lazy, lethargic, tamasic? No. It is here that Maharishi Mahesh Yogi and many researchers have shown that when you calm down the mind, your intelligence will increase, your capacities will increase, your memory will develop, and you have wonderful developed personality that's going to take place. And therefore, it is this calmness of the mind that brings about the total personality which has to be brought forth. Therefore, by bringing peace inside, you spread the peace outside and bring total personality. That creates harmony, love, affection between people. And how to adopt this thing? When you calm down the mind, you must go on sharing and sharing. Every day, to all my students, I say that you have to give something, and that is the prema bhava, with love. What you give, maybe money, maybe food, maybe clothes. If nothing is there, Krishna says, patram, pushpam, phalam, toyam, a leaf, a flower, a fruit, a cup of water. Every day make a habit to give, and that will bring about the transformation that is needed. If everybody starts giving, imagine what a wonderful society we can create. Now what is happening? We all want to grab more and more for us, more and more for us. Any amount we have, still we want more and more. And that has to be changed. That entire mindset should be changed. This is the essence of yoga. When you have that calm inside, you start sharing. Sharing is the key essence of this thing, and you create ideal social orders of love, harmony, peace the world over. And this is the message that Swami Vivekananda has given, and we have been working on this dimension in the whole country. And thanks to our Prime Minister, who brought this big launch of yoga throughout the world, and through the International Day of Yoga, we are spreading this IDY protocol of this total approach of yoga, Gnana Yoga, Raja Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, put together. We are going to spend this dimension. If all people can start practicing this IDY, 35 minutes protocol throughout the world, then it's going to be a wonderful inner transformation that takes place to bring in happiness, health, harmony, peace, love, and peace inside, and that will reflect itself into its manifestation outside. And that is the great message that Swami Vivekananda gave way back in 1893 when he heralded the grandeur of yoga to the Parliament of Religions in Chicago. And then he said, in the name of religions, let us stop waging wars. And the essence of all religions is to bring harmony, love, and peace among people. That is the real essence of all religions. And yoga brings out the necessary science to make this possible. When you calm down the mind, this becomes possible. Without the inner peace and tranquility, you will not be able to spread this message of outside peace, harmony. Therefore, the whole essence that this International Day of Yoga is spreading everywhere is to adopt ourselves, transform ourselves, and see that we spread the message of blissful awareness, happiness, bliss, sharing, and see that it spreads everywhere. And that is a wonderful message that Swami Vivekananda has given us 100 years back, and it is time that we all should continue doing that. And we have a galaxy of wonderful panelists along with me, and they will share their nice thoughts in this direction. And once again, my dear brothers and sisters, thank you for giving me an opportunity to be with you all this afternoon and to share with you the dimensions of yoga. Dhanyavad.
Thank you so much.
Here we go. I was feeling so much bliss, I forgot to give a couple of logistical points here. Sorry about that. For anyone who is having any trouble hearing, you can use this, and that should amplify the sound for you, this wonderful little device here. Also, each person will be speaking, and then we have a couple of people in the front row here whose lives have also been transformed through yoga, personal stories, and that story is emanating outward to the people that they are in turn helping. And we just didn't have enough people on the space for them on the panel. And then, in conclusion, we will have some time for questions, God willing, from all of you. Well, maybe not all of you, but certainly some of you who are particularly inquisitive. And if you would, to expedite that logistically, would you simply write down on a piece of paper a question that you may have or a comment that you would like to make, and then submit it around, and it'll come to me, and time permitting, we will address. Okay? I think I've done my housekeeping now for the moment. Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Nagendra, and for coming all the way from India to be here with us today. Another round of applause. Next is Eric Bauman. Did you give a video?
I'm not sure if Ms. Radica sent it.
Do we have a video of
To me,
Eric Bauman?
yoga means
Beautiful.
a new walk of life, a new path, a new journey that everyone really should do. Because it's really a learning experience. Like, everything begins to seem light while you're breathing. So I like it. To me, yoga means a new walk of life, a new path, a new journey that everyone really should do. Because it's really a learning experience. Like, everything begins to seem light while you breathe. So I like it.
One of the beauties, needless to say, is to see how yoga has reached to all sectors of society, regardless of race, of economics. No considerations have stopped the principles of yoga from permeating into the depths of our culture. So, Eric, we'd love to hear what you have to say.
Peace, family. Oh, peace, family. Hi, of course, my name is Eric Bowman. What brought me closer to yoga and the peace was, it was a series of events happened in 2015. It started off with Freddie Gray's death in Baltimore, Maryland. Everybody was in an uproar. It was a lot of looting going on. A lot of individuals were, losing their homes, cars, and things like that. And I was actually working at the Center for Urban Families. The Center for Urban Families is, a place to help individuals, a reentry into society. And working there, I ended up meeting a guy named, his name was Sean something. I wasn't, familiar with him. And he had asked me, did I want to take a trip to Boone? And of course I rebelled. I'm just, no, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. And it took about like 3 days until I actually went. And as I took my journey, to Boone, North Carolina, the first day it was kind of like, it was very new to me, right? I really didn't, submit. I really didn't give in the first day because it was, of course, a series of events happened in Baltimore, and I am, one of the individuals that was very instrumental in, bringing peace, bringing individuals together, stopping, all types of, harmful and crimeful acts, So I didn't submit the first day, I was eating recklessly, One thing that I only ate twice in my life, and I was about 4 years old, was pork. After then 2 days, I haven't ate pork, and, I was eating, a whole bunch of toxin foods and, things like that. So my journey to Boone, it actually, transformed my life. Now I'm a vegan, Of course, I don't eat no types of, seafood or anything like that because I'm allergic to seafood. Yeah, and that sucks. But but I'm allergic.
Not religious.
Yeah, it's not religious or anything like. Now before my trip to Boone, I was religious. I was very inclined to religion and things like that. But yoga has, of course, transformed me. It taught me how to, connect with, self, to be able to come one with nature, And I was on the train today, and I said, I was telling a little story about what happened when I was in Boone, North Carolina, when I finally submitted, and I began to be silent, I began to, lock myself out from, all worldly things, I started to, hear certain things going on around me. I started to hear the birds. I started to hear, the trees, I started to hear, not just myself thinking, So yoga has, for me, yoga has, not just transformed, my life, for me. Yoga has, taught me, and gave me the opportunity to be a better father. Yoga has, given me the opportunity to be, an advocate, to be an example, to lead individuals, towards, the right direction. before yoga, I was interacting in, various criminal acts, before yoga, but that day in 2015 that I took that trip to Boone, it actually turned my life around fully. Now, since my trip to Boone, I released one pamphlet. It's titled "Knowledge from a King." I wrote 13 other books. That I'm working with my team to actually release. I have in Baltimore. I partner with other individuals. Have a transportation service. Of course, I have my own home. I have not just one, but I have, 3 cars. I give individuals, I sponsor a lot of individuals. I give individuals scholarships, I do a lot of things. But, yoga is for everybody. Meditation is for everybody. And, I believe that everybody should, promote and spread the peace.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Eric. So beautiful to see how someone can go from the inner city life of Baltimore, where life is rough. I know Baltimore. Yes, and to step out of it into nature, into beautiful North Carolina, I know the area, and to allow yourself to be touched and then transformed as you did. It's given you a whole new life.
And I became a vegan.
And you became a vegan. And you still have 3 cars.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next will be Leela Lowling.
Namaskar. First of all, I just wanted to say...
We're going to be watching a video on you.
Oh, right. It's a long video.
I'm the founder of the Deaf Yoga Foundation, also known as DYF. Why did I set up the Deaf Yoga Foundation when I myself am hearing? A long time ago, I took up my first yoga class in 1998. Yoga greatly impacted me. It changed my life. Before, when I was 15 years old, I was diagnosed with epilepsy. I searched and searched for different healing modalities and I found nothing that was successful. Prescription medication didn't work, exercise didn't work. I was frustrated for years, and then finally I found yoga. Now fast forward 13 years later, I have no seizures. I take no prescriptions. I'm healthy, happy. I feel the best I have until today. And I feel more connected with everything, including my own soul. So I continued to study yoga. I've been a certified yoga teacher for 11 years. Before I was a sign language interpreter, but I quit. I didn't enjoy the work. So now I just focus on sharing yoga philosophy, and I just so happen to know sign. I hope you enjoy your yoga experience, and I hope it changes your life from negative to positive, from sickness, disease to healing. I invite you to try yoga for yourself and see how it impacts you. Thanks.
That was obviously several years ago. So namaste. Thank you, everyone. It is a true honor and privilege to be here in the United Nations on the International Day of Yoga and to be involved in such a distinguished group of panelists and to share our experiences and our wisdoms related to yoga and the importance of yoga being spread throughout the world today. First of all, I think it's important for us to understand the very basic principle of yoga, and that is that no matter the path of yoga, whether it's karma yoga, hatha yoga, raja yoga, bhakti yoga, yoga reunites us and re-inspires us to connect to the essence of who we are which is peace. Who we are at the core of our being is peace. And as my great guru, Swami Shivananda, says, that which stands between you and your inner peace is the mind. And when we look at the state of the mind and we look at the state of the world, we see that we are a country and a culture that has put too much energy in the mind. We find separation and judgment and cultural divide through the activities of approaching life through only the vehicle of the mind. And this is why many of the practices are to calm the mind. It is when we can calm that agitation, that mental agitation, that we can better allow that natural essence of peace to exist. And this not only affects the individual on a physical level, on a mental level, but also on an emotional level. And I have seen that happen in my own life. At 15 years old, I was diagnosed with epilepsy. And I was having seizures nearly every month, if not more frequent than that. And when you have a disease like that your body just collapses at any given moment, whether it's the grocery store, hopefully not while driving your car, or at any other place that you live in a state of fear and panic. And so when I found yoga in my very first teacher training course through the International Shivananda Yoga Vedanta Centers, they have a 1-month training program. That actually was the first month that I did not have a seizure. So when I saw the effects of yoga so instantaneously, in such a quick amount of time, have a direct impact not only on my physical body, but also on my mind, and also on my emotional state where I could set back and experience peace for the first time, I knew that this was something much greater than myself, and that catapulted me on now a 2-decade exploration into all of the sciences of yoga. So in that now, it's been 14 years that I have been seizure-free without any medication. I believe that is attributed to not only natural remedies and living a more natural diet, but also meditation and through the asana practice. So it all is all-encompassing that has helped me to let go of the suffering I was experiencing. And that is what we all want. We all have our different levels of suffering, every single one of us, and we can't quantify whose suffering is greater than somebody else's. But what we can say is that we all have suffering. And we see it in the world today in almost everywhere that you look. And so on this International Day of Yoga, we are all here because we're all seekers of that peace that is within us. And as we bring that peace within us, we're able to let it navigate itself naturally outside of us. It happens naturally. And so I had a sign language background. I went to college for that. And then I decided, look, there is very little access for the deaf community. And there is very little access and even knowledge on how to take these ancient teachings and these ancient practices and offer it to a culture that has been clearly oppressed for far too long. So I believe that what has happened as a part of my evolutionary process, again, of simply reconnecting to the peace of who I am inside, just like we all are inside the same one piece, is it opened the door for the deaf community to finally start to have access to yoga. It is absolutely essential that we continue to open the door, like Eric is doing and every panelist on here today, is to open the door in all of these avenues so that we can begin to recognize this collective peace that naturally exists within, that needs the practices and the teachings in order to kind of clear the clutter so that we can embody a world of peace. As Swami Vishnudevanandaji said, our great guru, he said, peace happens one person at a time. One person's transformation at a time is what will lead to world peace. And so I am very honored again to be here today. I'm honored to be an advocate and an ally in the deaf community as a hearing ally and advocate. It is a great privilege and honor to be invited into their culture and to be their voice within the yoga community. I look forward to Geeta Sagar. She's a deaf yoga instructor who will share this afternoon about her experience and how yoga has impacted her. So I thank you again, everyone, and I pray that we all find the peace within. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Leela. Beautiful. There aren't words to express the depth of feeling and appreciation so many of us have for people like you who are bringing this practice into places of those who are so oppressed and so forgotten. So truly, thank you. And so we will continue with the esteemed Sri Nivasan, Acharya from the International Shivananda Yoga Vedanta Center.
Namaste. My name is Sri Nivasan, and I'm the Acharya of the Shivananda Yoga Vedanta Centers here in New York. And it's my great honor to be here at the United Nations and to be sitting on this panel for yoga and peace. Yoga is an ancient, universal science of peace. It was my great good fortune to take my first Shivananda yoga class in 1970. During the first Earth Day, at a time when I was under tremendous stress, arriving at draft age and making a case as a conscience objector during the Vietnam War. Yoga became my means of finding inner peace, gave me my first lessons in ahimsa, or nonviolence, and introduced me to the teachings of tolerance and oneness, the philosophy of unity and diversity. My teacher, Swami Vishnudevananda, the guru and founder of the International Shivananda Yoga Vedanta Centers, developed the first yoga teacher training course in 1969 as a vehicle to train a new generation of leaders in peace. Swamiji taught by example, supreme courage and humility in the face of conflict, violence, and oppression. Yoga teaches that peace is not only possible, it is essential for human survival. United we stand, divided we perish. The International Shivananda Yoga Vedanta Centers has trained nearly 50,000 yoga teachers and created a working model for teacher training that, going viral, has set off a worldwide cultural shift to yoga as an essential discipline of health and inner peace. I have witnessed thousands of yoga teachers in training pass through personal transformation, developing practical yoga and peace skills. Again, it's my great honor to be here, and I look forward to seeing you all. Namaste.
Namaste. So it is to see yoga here in the UN, United Nations, is really the place of unity and diversity, and really shows the possibility of all cultures and countries to come together and in the spirit of oneness and respecting each other's differences. This is really the core of yoga, and there is really no difference between yoga and peace. Every aspect of yoga is taking us inwards to find peace and teaching us skills that we can live with one another and honor and respect each other. Swami Vishnudevananda, as we introduced, really had a vision of the world breaking through barriers, and actually that unless we're able to honor and respect each other, that we will either united we'll stand together, and divided we perish. This was his teaching, and it really is an essential motivation to practice yoga for our own self peace, inner peace, and also what the biggest thing that we can do for the world. So no matter what our mission is in life, yoga can help us to find peace, to be, as Dr. Nagendra was speaking about, that yoga gives us the tools that we can approach those things that we're passionate about, that we really care about in the world, from a place, a centered place, a place of peace, so that when we come together to do whatever our work is, that we're not part of the problem, but part of the solution. The same mind creates the problems, also the mind, when it's calmed and focused and able to bridge over the gaps that we create, is the solution. So yoga is teaching how to heal the problems with the mind, the weaknesses, the causes of all of our suffering and ignorance and conflict. That same mind can also, when turned towards that universal self, towards unity, can also find peace and make peace. So the vision that Swami Vishnudevananda had was that by training yoga teachers in the practice of yoga, in living yoga, in residentially 24 hours a day living yoga, and applying that the yoga principles to one's lifestyle, that over a period of a month, if someone is actually practicing yoga, that becomes 100% of the practice, that this has a transformation in that person's life, and sets the seeds for practice for the rest of their life. And if one practices, you want to study it, because the practice gives you experience. How many people here have practiced yoga and had at least some sort of experience of peace? Just the practice itself, just get down on the mat, the Shavasana, as Dr. Nagendra was speaking of, just experience what relaxation really is. Come back to your breath, practice meditation a little bit, just find that few moments of peace, of silence, and then bring that to your work, to your relationships. Stand back and be a witness in conflict. And everyone experiences conflict, whether it's domestically, whether it's at work, or whether it's nations fighting with each other. But if we can turn within and find the tools to be able to live and find the solutions to peace from within ourselves, then we can actually bring that to our relationships. And that practice becomes a daily practice. And as Bhagavad Gita says, one of the first definitions of yoga, the many definitions of yoga in Bhagavad Gita, is that yoga is skill in action. So by practicing yoga, we become more skillful. And becoming more skillful in yoga means becoming more skillful in peace. So it is our hope that by, again, bringing yoga to everyone, and recognizing that yoga is universal, that each person, again, as Leela Loling said, each person can, by transforming themselves, is transforming each thread of the society. And the society real revolution or real change takes place individually. Social change starts with individual change. And political change really is to be lasting, has to come from social change and from individual change.
Thank you so much, Srinivasan. I'm beginning to think that transformation is happening. It's my feeling here. Now we will hear from John Bennett, but first a video.
Hello, my name is John Bennett. I was born and raised in Greenville, Michigan, and at the age of 19, I decided to join the United States Navy. 3 weeks into boot camp, I found out that my first set of orders had me stationed in Atsugi, Japan with VFA 195. In 2001, I was deployed on the USS Kitty Hawk with VFA 195 in support of operations after 9/11. In 2003, I was deployed on the command ship USS Tarawa LHA-1 for the first 6 months of naval operations in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. And then in 2005, I transitioned to shore duty at 3rd Fleet in San Diego, California. And then at the end of that, in 2006, I was medically separated. From then, I decided, let's go to college. So I went to college at Norwich University, and I got 2 sports medicine degrees, 1 in athletic training and 1 in sports medicine. In 2013, I decided to go to University of Maryland, University College, and complete a master's in healthcare administration. In 2016, I was selected by the Veterans Health Administration for the Graduate Health Administrative Training Program at West Roxbury VA in Boston, Massachusetts.
Okay, thank you. John, if you will, speak to the subject of how yoga has affected your life personally and what you're doing with it to help promote it and allow other people that you know to share from its benefits.
Yes, I can do that. Just a quick sentence. Where I grew up in Michigan, if anybody knows anything about central Michigan, it's Amish country. So that's where I was brought up and raised. So when I got off the plane the first day in Atsugi, Japan, and then I went to the naval base, and you see like 200 people doing Tai Chi in unison with nobody screaming and yelling at you. It's a big difference and a change. It's a real just eye-opening experience. So, but in my journey through the power breath meditation and yoga really took hold in 2016 when I was selected for the Graduate Health Administrative Training Program at the VA in Boston, Massachusetts. So it was my first job post-college. I was not in the military anymore, and the civilian world does things completely different than the military. So trying to transition my mind to work in a healthcare setting with people who actually had opinions, it was a little difficult at first. So one night, my next door neighbor, he owns South Boston Yoga, and we were just having pizza Saturday night, and we just started talking, and then he was explaining to me, he goes, are you trying to deal with issues from PTSD or from moral injury? And then I was just like, what are you talking about? So he started to explain it. And then ultimately, I just spent probably 2 to 3 weeks just casually interneting, trying to figure out what I can. So one night I was trolling the internet like everybody has done before, and I started to get on some message boards, and I realized that they were showing this documentary Almost Sunrise at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. So I decided, let's go watch this documentary, let's see what it's about. I mean, it's 90 minutes. They should be able to explain the difference between PTSD and moral injury. Well, at the end of that screening, we got to speak with Tom Voss, one of the main actors in there, and his answers to the questions, it didn't matter what a person did, where they came from, were they in war, were they not in war. Yoga can help anybody in anybody's life. It doesn't matter. So at the end of the class, I ended up meeting another veteran that I decided, I was like, the only way to get this power breath meditation to veterans here in Boston is to just organize it yourself. So Chuck Foster is a local instructor there, and I spoke with him, and this is the first time, because I'm also a patient of the Veteran Health Administration, where the patient could get the employee to get what he wanted. So I was able to use my resources, and I created the first class at the West Roxbury VA with Chuck Foster, and Denise Richardson flew in from the national office. At the end of the documentary screening, I knew that I had to go through this course. And the only way to do it was either fly out somewhere or organize it. So that's what I did. So just for some background, the Power Breath Meditation Workshop harnesses the innate healing power of the breath to facilitate healing on the level of the mind. And as us veterans would say, it's PT, or it's physical training for your mind. This is completely something like a tool that you would add to your tool belt that would help you deal with every other aspect of life in conjunction with your other coping mechanisms and skills. And it offers practical breath-based tools and physical stretching that decreases the stress, the anxiety, and the sleep problems that many of us local veterans experience. And how it's advertised to us veterans is it increases, there's 6 benefits to the Power Breath Workshop. 3, reduce, that is anxiety, depression, and anger. And then there's 3 improvements, so improve sleep, improve greater connectedness to your community, and improved positive outlook in life. So I like to go down each one. Reduced anxiety. I'm a very anxious person. I always have been. And then when you go to war, you know, when you're 19, you don't realize that you still have your innocence and your youth. And then when you come back from war, you realize that's no longer there. So anxiety is something I've always had to deal with. And when I went into my first 5-day course, I didn't know what to expect. And a lot of the veterans were like, how are we going to know what to do? This is going to take days to figure out. Even after the first course, where we only probably went 20% into this method, everybody that was in the room was much, much calmer, completely relaxed, and anxiety definitely just going down as a whole. And I just thought to myself, if it's that good of an experience on your first class when you really don't know what you're doing, then it can only go uphill from that point. So moving on to the reduce in depression. Depression has not normally been something that I've had to deal with in my life, and until the last 9 months. I ended up having a foot surgery and then found out I got MRSA, and I almost lost my foot. I was 2 days away from that. I've lost my job, my home, my house, everything in the last 9 months. And the only thing that was a saving grace for me is meditation. So I ended up calling my local instructor, and he told me, if you need to meditate 6 hours a day, then meditate 6 hours a day, because nothing you can do to heal your foot, walk, or change can happen right now except in your mind. And I basically I was like, then we're going to meditate all day or fall asleep, one or the other. Life is going to hopefully get better. So the one statement that I'll never forget is one of my vet friends said to me, the perfect storm can happen to anybody, and what you do with it and how you react and recover to it is what truly makes the difference. And that's just caveating back and leading into how a positive outlook is needed. Reduced anger. I think as men in general, sometimes we always just resort to loudness and anger to try to figure out our frustrations. And I'm not innocent of that, but after my first class, I just realized I had a much shorter fuse that is constantly growing every day that I did the meditation. I would see little changes where something that I would immediately either yell at somebody or try to correct, I just started to, you know, it's like watershed off the back. Just let it go, because there's more important things in life. And the other thing I noticed is I have a service dog. I didn't bring him here today, but my relationship with him increased, because when you're trying to communicate with an animal, there's always confusion. And I just realized that how it only benefits your interactions with humans, but it also benefits the interaction with your close animals that you work with at the same time. And that was a really powerful moment to me after my first course. And then improved sleep. That one still eludes me. I'm not going to lie about it, but I'm very proud to say that I've come off over 16 medications and opiates since January using meditation. And I do know that if I do sleep, I will only sleep for 4 to 6 hours, but now instead of waking up every 30 minutes, it's actual 4 to 6 hours of just sleep. So I've decided that that's good enough for right now. We're just going to keep practicing and meditating. But the other thing I've also noticed is that I have an innate ability, ever since I started the Power of Breath, to pull myself out of a negative dream. I've spent a lot of time focusing on what I would classify as a trigger for a dream, and I've noticed that I cannot stop a dream, but I can determine whether or not I'm going to be an active participant in that dream. And that is a big key factor I try to tell to some of my vets. You can't get rid of that memory, you can't get rid of the thought coming into your brain, but what you can do is try to get back to baseline 0 as quick as possible and just move on from that moment. And then greater connectedness with community. I think everybody has that longing. When I moved here from Boston, coming from Central Michigan, I didn't have my family, community, or friends. I was basically wandering, looking for my own tribe. I needed to have a sense of connection. And Power Breath Meditation brought that for me, as well as it did with many other veterans. And it's one of the reasons why every other week at the VA, we host one of the long sessions, and we have a set group of guys that come, and we've become our own little network together, where We all meditate, and then if there's a little question or an issue or benefits or we can't figure something out, you ask your local friends that you can trust and rely on. And then ultimately, the last one is increase in a positive outlook. The power of breath has helped me in more ways when it comes to positive outlook. And even though I've had all these setbacks, I mean, medically, I've had 14 major joint surgeries, just my body is falling apart. And at the age of 36 years old and now 38, there's some of the major issues I've had to go through. I'm like, how in the world do you stay positive? And it's all I can say is power breath meditation allowed me to be able to put into place just the foundation stones in order to be able to just succinctly and correctly overcome a disability or a challenge. And ultimately, that's why I continue with the power breath and try to organize more classes for veterans. And then in closing, I just want to thank the International Association of Human Values for bringing this form of meditation and mindfulness training to us veterans. And I continue to want to bring awareness and organize classes. And this is how power breath meditation has affected my life.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, John Bennett. Again, another large community of people who put their lives on the line for us as military people. And no matter what we may think about war and obviously peace, we have a high value for. These are men and women who are taking tremendous risks, and they are severely neglected when they come back home. So it's really heartening to hear about the efforts that some groups are making to include you and reach out to make a difference like that. Thank you for your input. And for our final panelist, and we do have a couple of people to speak after that, is Madhu-san Balasubramanian. I've been practicing that name all morning. And Madhu, let's see a video of Madhu.
Hi, I am Madhusudan, born in Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu, a land of strong culture and spiritual heritage in south of India. Started my career as a filmmaker and shot fashion films around the world. I have been an artistic person from the very young age, learned classical singing and Bharatanatyam dancing. Since I was a kid, I was very curious about the system, religion, and the very existence itself, and I got all my answers through yoga. At the age of 20, I was introduced to simplified Kundalini Yoga. That's a form of meditation practice and introspection technique. Went deeper and got my Brahmanyanam, and now I'm an Arulnidhi from the Temple of Consciousness. I always wanted to create an immersive storytelling experience, and after a decade of filmmaking, VR happened. I felt, this is it. We are so used to consume information in 2D, books, phones, laptops, and televisions. Even our dreams and imaginations are in 2 dimensions, but our reality is 360, and so is VR. Last few years, I got into VR and mastered the art of storytelling in the immersive medium. VR Sky is an immersive meditative experience which begins with the self-introspection, taking you on a journey within towards the Absolute, Aham Brahmasmi. VR Sky is for people who think they can't meditate or super stressed out and not able to clear their minds. This 6-minute VR experience will help them forget their surroundings, relax their mind, and focus on their inner energies. VR Sky may not be a tool to meditate, but it definitely tunes you to meditate. Varga Valamudan.
Please, Madhu, share with us your experience of yoga and how it's affected your personal life and what you're doing with it to spread the word to others.
Yeah, thank you. Namaste and Varga Valamudan. Sorry, once something's going on.
I think we're going to experience some virtual reality first.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry. No, it's Avec plaisir, je pense. Avec plaisir.
Mhm. Oh, yeah. So this was. Yeah, sorry. I'm gonna run fast. So this was after this VR Sky experience. Someone trying it in Cannes, Festival de Cannes. She was super stressed out, a worker in a cafe, and she just broke out after this experience. She has never tried a virtual reality experience before, and that too on a meditation. So I guess you tried yesterday. We were showing yesterday on the yoga day. Yeah. Okay. So I want to actually know, like, how many people believe that we are in the reality, in the physical reality? No? No one? So, or how many people think there is a physical world and a virtual world? So how many people believe that we are already there in multiple different worlds? Everyone. That's amazing. That's amazing. So that's what it's all about. Like, so we heard like a lot of, when it comes to yoga, I divide it as like a physical yoga and one as a spiritual yoga. And like mostly in US or other Western countries know more about the physical part of it. Like, okay, doing asanas make you fit, or like, you know, you can perform much better, or like you can go for more peace. But there is another spiritual side of it, which is more of journey within. So understanding ourselves to connect to the all-prevailing consciousness. So that's the whole idea of making this VR Sky experience. So that like, so when we actually go to meditate, ask them to close your eyes, and immediately a lot of thoughts comes up, you know? So now what we do is like pick up one thought and cling on it, and you think, oh, no, I should not think about this, probably jump into another thought. So like you are not actually meditating, you are just like oscillating between like two different shots. So the idea of this is like using the senses, how you can meditate. So I'm actually showing some visuals so that you can actually look at the visual and try to meditate and be in that state of, you know, like consciousness. So that's the whole idea of making this video. That's it. Yeah. Thank you.
Would you like to take another minute and just describe a little bit of what yoga has been for you personally?
Okay, yeah. So I've been like, I'm a filmmaker, like I was a Bharatanatyam dancer and a classical singer. So by practicing the classical singing itself, like activates your chakra. And like, of course, Bharatanatyam dancing again activates your chakras. And like I did my Kundalini awakening. Yeah. So, yeah. So, of course, yeah. I was having I was questioning myself, which is the real world, whether it's a dream or the one what I'm living in. So yoga, like, and I was preparing for my civil services, and went more deeper into it. My option was commerce and psychology, and like there was like one thing which about corruption, and I realized that you can't fix it, you know. So then I went more deeper of understanding. I want answer for everything. So I got it through yoga, by practicing yoga. So understanding the reality more, you know, it transformed everything. So I was a filmmaker and creating advertising, creating more of Maya. But like after getting into meditation and yoga, I realized everything is Maya. Like there is the entire journey of life is to understand yourself. That's more important. Like it's the difference between who is the dreamer and the dream, and the appearance and the appearing. So that's what yoga gave me, the answers for everything. So that's amazing.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Madhu. Also called MAD, by the way. Thank you very much. Thank you, all the panels. I'd love to just take a moment, frankly, because there's been a lot of talking and a lot of very good talking, a lot really from the heart and experience. But I think it would be very appropriate if we were to just take one big, long, pranayamic type of breath as a group, and then we'll get into our next stages here. So if we would all just, from our abdomen, just take a big, deep 3 breaths, and we'll recenter here together. Now, doesn't that just feel blissful? Thank you all. So now we're going to hear from 2 other people that are in our front row here. Just a couple of minutes, because we're quickly running out of time. Even though time is eternal, that's always been very strange to me. So if Osman Gomez, would you kindly, do you have a microphone there? Okay. If you would turn it on and just take a couple of minutes and tell us what yoga means to you and how it has reshaped your life. That would be wonderful.
Okay, so before I begin, I would like to thank everybody for this great opportunity for being here. So back in 8th grade, I suffered anxiety and depression at 14 in middle school. And I didn't know what I was doing with my life. And I was very lost in my soul. I wasn't thinking right. So I didn't know how to seek for help, so I had to use my parents. And my parents, we called directly to the school. And the school directed me towards this beautiful program called the YES program, also known as the Youth Empowerment Seminar. And
where was this taking place?
This is taking place in Long Island, Freeport, New York.
Okay.
This was my middle school, 8th grade. So I met with wonderful YES teachers, and they really showed me another way of life. They showed me many breathing techniques. Yoga for me, it has really changed. It has really made a better me. For example, recently, back in
was one of the things they showed you and taught you was yoga? And the breathing techniques?
It was, yes, sir. It was breathing techniques. One example is Victory breath. I'm not sure if many people here know what that is. It's just where you breathe with oceanic sound when you inhale and exhale. So recently, somewhere around January, I was diagnosed with this condition called spinal muscular atrophy. And that's actually where it weakens your muscles, mostly in the legs, and you feel fatigue and you start to fall. It's random falling, so I don't know when I'm gonna fall. And I'm pretty sure the woman knows how I'm feeling. And I know that if I was not introduced to yoga, I wouldn't be able to confront and accept my condition. So I'm very thankful for me learning about yoga. The YES program, it teaches all the kids and faculty and staff about yoga, and it really helps them to become a better them. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Gracias por todo. Beautiful. And Gita, if you would kindly share with us a bit of your experience in the deaf community.
Yes, sure. Should I stand? Okay, I'll stay sitting. So my journey with yoga started about 12 years ago with my mother's encouragement. And I decided to do some research on my own, and eventually I found a yoga class that was taught by a hearing instructor. And the teacher would lead from the front of the class, but I was completely lost, and I just tried to follow along by copying what the other students were doing. And I felt very discouraged because I was afraid of looking foolish. And I felt like I wasn't able to feel the same level of peace and calm that the other students were experiencing in the class, especially when it came to Shavasana. I couldn't really close my eyes and relax fully because the teacher would be speaking. I would close my eyes, and when I would wake up, everyone would be ahead of me at a different point in the class already. So I decided eventually that I would look for some kind of accessible way of accessing yoga. And that's how I found Leela and Deaf Yoga. And I got in touch with her and I learned about her class, and it was so thrilling to be involved. And finally I was able to relax and to trust myself and to feel that level of peace and bliss. And I learned from her through her teaching about how to connect with my breath and all the different asanas. It was really inspiring, and I decided to become a teacher for the deaf community. So I graduated from the TTC at the Shivananda Ashram Yoga Ranch in 2011, and I'm really grateful to the center for providing interpreters and to Leela for organizing that. It was a 1-month intensive course, and it was a wonderful challenge, and I felt like it was a great experience for me to learn very much. And I felt like I was able to connect with my body and with my breathing, and there were so many different aspects of yoga that I was able to do. And now I actually teach yoga classes twice a month at the Shivananda Center on Saturdays, 2 Saturdays every month, and I've been doing that for almost 6 years now. I have 4 to 10 students who come regularly, and they really enjoy learning and in an environment that is comfortable for them and supportive. And it's very easy for them to follow me, and they're able to learn in their own way, in their own process. And after the class, every time we have that class, we eat lunch together and we're able to communicate. And having classes available in ASL means that we're able to communicate with our souls and with our minds and to really be present and to learn what mindfulness is and what inner peace is. For me personally, it helped me to understand more about who I am. And it's just such an honor to be able to be a part of this. Also, meditation enabled me to learn forever, to really be fully at peace and quiet in my mind. And it is something that is an ongoing process, and I'm still doing that for a number of years. And I'm just so grateful and honored to be here with all of you here in the audience. Now, in conclusion, I just want to thank the Deaf Yoga Foundation and Leela. I really appreciate all of the work that you're doing. And without Leela and her organization, I wouldn't be here today with you. So I just want to say thank you very much and namaste.
Thank you so much, Geeta. It is so beautiful to see how far and widespread yoga is right now, thanks to so many people who are taking the effort and making the effort to spread it around. We are beginning to come to our conclusion of the panel today and our time together, but not just yet. So I see that we have many esteemed yogis in our presence here out in the audience. So I want to just make a few moments available if anyone were to have a question or a comment for that matter that you would like to share with us all. And if you do have something, just raise your hand, let me acknowledge you, and then just push that button and you'll have your mic available. Please. But you have to get very close or take off the mask. Okay.
To डॉक्टर H.N. नागेंद्रा, ये वैज्ञानिक तथ्य है कि हमारे इसी मस्तिष्क में एनिमल ब्रेन मौजूद हैं और ये भी साइंटिफिक सच है कि हमारे इसी मस्तिष्क में नियोकॉर्टेक्स परत है जहाँ पर मानवीय और दैविक वृत्तियाँ जन्म लेती है। मेडिकल साइंस इस बात को स्वीकार करता है कि अगर बच्चे का सिंपैथेटिक नर्वस सिस्टम ज़्यादा सक्रिय है तो वो आक्रामक हो जाएगा। जैसे वर्जीनिया की यूनिवर्सिटी में एक स्टूडेंट ने 32-33 स्टूडेंट को शूट करके रख दिया और अगर उसका पैरासिम्पैथिक नर्वस सिस्टम ज़्यादा सक्रिय है या सिंपैथेटिक नर्वस सिस्टम वो हीन भावना में चला जाएगा, दब्बू रह जाएगा। मॉडर्न एजुकेशन सिस्टम, साइंस जिसे लेफ्ट और राइट हेमिस्फीयर कहता है, मॉडर्न एजुकेशन सिस्टम हमारे लेफ्ट हेमिस्फीयर को जगाने का काम कर रहा है, जो कि बुद्धि गणित तर्क के लिए रिस्पॉन्सिबल है। किंतु हमारा राइट हेमिस्फीयर जो इंट्यूशन पावर के लिए, जो स्पिरिचुअल डेवलपमेंट के लिए रिस्पॉन्सिबल है। जब आप योगा फॉर पीस की कॉन्फ्रेंस कर रहे हैं, मेरा ये प्रश्न है आपसे कि क्या आप गवर्नमेंट इंडिया के साथ ऐसा कोई कार्यक्रम कि जिसमें प्रारंभिक एजुकेशन में पीस एजुकेशन जैसे कार्यक्रम को इंट्रोड्यूस किया जाए, वही हिंसा और आतंकवाद की समस्या का जड़ से समाधान कर सकता है? क्या इस तरह की कोई रिसर्च का क्रम आगे बढ़ रहा है या ऐसे वैल्यू एजुकेशन बेस्ड कार्यक्रम को इंट्रोड्यूस करने की कोई योजना है जिससे कि दुनिया से हिंसा और आतंकवाद का जड़ से इलाज हो सके और हमारी दुनिया, हमारा समाज बेहतर बन सके?
Okay. Now will someone be kind enough to translate?
I will tell.
Okay.
Thank you. The question is that normally our left brain is more active in our education system, and the right brain, which is the intuitional brain, is not brought into operation. As a result, the sympathetic nervous system is going to get more stimulated than the parasympathetic. This is the root cause for most of the challenges that we face today. So are there any techniques that have been incorporated into the education system which can bring about the right dimension? So the answer is that yes, we have been able to do the research to show these aspects that yoga helps to bring the balance by developing our right brain and also the parasympathetic nervous system dominance. And this can be easily done by using the pranayama techniques, some meditation techniques, and also yogic postures. And this has been incorporated suitably in our education system. As I was mentioning yesterday, so in India, now the syllabus has been formed to bring this holistic dimension of development by the suitable integrated yoga practices. So needed dimensions has been incorporated into our syllabus, and for the primary education and secondary and higher secondary education, the suitable syllabus has been formed, and then it has been put even into the higher education system. So this, if it can be brought forth essentially in India, in all states, it will be a wonderful thing. And this is what we want, that it should spread into all the countries, and that was the emphasis that was given in the International Day of Yoga by having this integrated yoga protocol for 35 minutes that we have brought forth. And this IDY protocol that we developed is very, very helpful in bringing the balance that is needed, and this is what we want. Everywhere it should be spread, and if we can bring this into our education system throughout the world, in every country, then the transformation that we are looking for really is going to come up. The terrorism can reduce, and peace can prevail, and harmony and love can all develop nicely. Thank you very much for your good question.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes. On that note, it should simply be said that it's creating coherence between the two hemispheres of the brain. We're not looking for dominance of one or the other, but both together. We have one question. We only really have time for one more. So if, sir, please. Yes.
57 years experience in this field of working for bringing synthesis in life and world peace. I have a specific instance to quote. In Philippines, in the Mindanao Island, there is turbulence and war for the last over 50 years. We, through the practice of yoga, could bring peace there and harmony in the society. As a result, we are able to set up a training center at the island, the turbulent island, where we are able to attract the trainees from entire Southeast Asia, Philippines, Korea, Japan, China, and far east portion of Russia. I have a specific experience last year when I was in Vietnam with the cooperation and help of 6 departments of Vietnam government. We organized a yoga conference in which people very spontaneously accepted that we are so close to India culturally with the help of yoga. Last month, I was in Russia, Siberia portion of Russia, where I was with 200 selected yoga trainees for 5 days. They had so nice experiences that they went on explaining how close they are culturally with India due to this yoga. So this reminds me of Honorable Prime Minister Modi's statement that yoga is not only for health, yoga is also for unification. So I am very thankful to all the yoga masters present here. We are working in this part of the world with this team in entire USA, Central America, Canada, with the cooperation here in New York with the World Yoga Community.
Very good.
And
thank you.
We are taking this message for humanity that this is the last resort, this is the panacea for all our problems. If we bring this yoga into our practical life, we can establish peace throughout the world. Because we are living in the turbulent world, and yoga is the panacea. Jai Bharat.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate the work and the effort that has been made among the people in this room toward world peace and using the wisdom and the principles of yoga to do so, stretching back to time immemorial virtually. India has been with us and the wisdom of India for so long. I want to leave us, as we've really kind of completed our time here today, I want to thank Anjani Kumar for helping to orchestrate all of this. Let's have a hand. And all of our panelists here. Just the last word I'd just like to say. I said at the beginning that there are quantum fields or morphogenetic fields which are composed of our thoughts, our feelings, and our intentions. And science has come around through our understanding of neuroscience and the like, quantum physics, that shows us mathematically, literally scientifically, that what we think and then what we broadcast has a real effect in the world. So I want to just leave all of us with that idea that we are all part of this together. And I want to just thank you from the bottom of my heart for the good work that you have all done here on the panel and all of you out here to help establish world peace. Thank you so much.
Station. On different aspects of yoga and how they can play an important role in fostering good health, well-being, and peace. On behalf of the Permanent Mission of India, I take the opportunity to thank Dr. H.R. Nagendra, Mr. Srinivasan, Mr. Eric Bauman, Mr. John Bennett, Mr. Madhusudan Balasubramaniam, Ms. Leela Lawling, Mr. Osman Gomez, and Ms. Geeta Sagar for sharing the positive influence of yoga in their lives. I also thank Mr. Mitchell Rabin for who deftly guided this discussion as the moderator. Thank you very much. Please allow me to take this opportunity to thank the distinguished ambassadors who have been with us today, the delegates and the invitees for taking time out from their busy schedules to accompany us this afternoon. I thank you very much.
I guess that's it, but I think before we leave, I should do something that was given to me that I didn't touch yet. Dismissed.